Hello everyone, my name is Jay. This is my first YouTube video on how to do it yourself. This is my 1999 E46 328i, and a while ago my car started vibrating on the passenger side. So there are four things you have to check. One would be your tire being balanced, and your steering wheel alignment, and your control arm, and your tie rod. Now I know my tire is balanced, I know my alignment is straight, I know I've just replaced my control arm and my bushing 2 weeks ago. And the last thing I found out was my tie rod. This is a new one, but the current one right now, the ball joint is very loose, and I couldn't adjust the alignment on the steering wheel alignment. So I will be replacing that today, and I will show you step by step. I hope you guys learn a lot from this video, and I hope you guys learn how to replace the tie rod. When you are driving on the highway and you are going about 70 miles per hour, and you find the road reasonably flat, not too many bumps on the road, but you see your steering wheel shaking like this or vibrating like this, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but when you see your steering wheel like this, first you can ask yourself, when were my tires balanced? So when you buy new tires at any auto shop, they balance the tire for you. Balancing the tire means having the tire weight in the center so that your tire thread wears out evenly. Let's say during the installation and balancing the tire, they found out that this side was heavier than this side, then they would add some sort of weight. For this particular rim, it will look like this, and this is 1.75 ounce, which means this side of the tire was 1.75 ounce heavier than this side. So they've added the weight on this side to make the tire even. It's recommended that you balance your tire every 4,000 to 6,000 miles, but you know, sometimes life happens and you forget and you happen to feel the vibration. That's the first thing you can check, balancing your tire. Now if you know your tire is balanced and it's still vibrating while you're driving, for this particular car, because it's an old car, the chances are bad control arm or your tie rod. Now you can test it out by shaking the axle. I already have the video showing you guys if it shakes or not, or the play movements because of the loose ball joints of the tie rod. I will show you with the older tie rod and the control arm that I've taken out. Alright, so these are the old control arm and the old tie rod that I've taken off. So if you were to shake the axle and there were some play movements, which means two things. One, bad ball joints and bad bushing. These are not supposed to move like this. But since it's an old control arm, this is what happens. Same thing for the tie rod. The ball joint should not move like this. And the whole purpose of a tie rod is this connects to a steering rack, and that allows you to steer right or steer left. And let's say your steering wheel is straight, but you find your car going a little bit towards right or a little bit towards left, means the tie rod wasn't aligned properly. And if you were to realign the tie rod, you loosen this bolt that allows you to spin this rod over here with an adjustment wrench, and you can spin this to loosen it or tighten it, which is pulling the wheel. So if you were to tighten this rod, it will pull the wheel inward, so it will adjust the wheel inward. And if you were to loosen this, it will push the wheel outward, adjusting to the right. So that's the whole purpose of the tie rod. One thing I forgot to mention was which side is left side, which side is right side. And I was actually confused because, you know, if you're looking at the car, the left side would be the passenger side and the right side would be the driver's side. But if you're driving the car, the right side would be your passenger side and your left side would be your driver's side. Now to figure that out, I actually went online and Googled myself, and they said wherever the engine's facing forward, that's how you determine which side is left and which side is right. Now I can show you by using the older control arm that I took off. And it says right side. And I can show you the R right here. Let me zoom in on that. Okay. There it is. You see that R? The right side, passenger side. I've actually ordered the left side first and I had to call the vendor and reorder the right side. Don't make that mistake. The first thing you need to do is unscrew the 17mm socket bolts of your wheel. Okay, so now I've loosened the bolts and I jacked it up. And I'm going to remove the wheel. Now let me show you how much play there was because of the loose ball joint. You can see by shaking this. This shouldn't shake at all, but there's the ball joint from the tie rod and it's shaky, which was why it was vibrating so much while I was driving. Alright, so I'm going to turn my steering wheel so you guys can see better. Okay, so here's a better view of the old tie rod, and we are removing this part. This is a new one. Removing this part, which is 18mm socket, which I will be using to remove. Okay, what you can do to remove the tie rod is you could hammer this side or you could push it down here. And I've hammered it before a little bit and it's loose now. And I can it's loose. Yes, yes. Finally, this is loose now. Okay, let me take you underneath the car to take off the remaining tie rod. Alright, so underneath the car, you will have to remove this part with an adjustable wrench. Okay, so what you need to do, you have to remove this clip in order to remove this entire boot. Get a pair of pliers and you would just rip it out. You will have to remove this part with an adjustable wrench. Alright, so here's the difference between the old tie rod and the new tie rod. As you can see, the ball joint is so loose, you could just turn it around. And first thing you do with the new one is you match it up to see if they are the correct length. This is how you align with your wheel. And yes, it's just gotta be precise and put it all together. If it's not, you can loosen this bolt and you can adjust the length. And yep, seems about right, so I'm going to tighten this. Alright, now we are going to install the new tie rod. Alright, so I'm going to reuse my older boot and I've already installed it to my new tie rod and we are ready to install it. Now we can install your boot. Just bring it right over. Alright, now we're going to install this part. So the one that came with the new tie rod is 19mm bolt. Alright, so now that we have installed our new tie rod, one of the biggest question is my steering wheel alignment straight? Because the fact is we've actually just eyed the length of the tie rod and we didn't really make sure if it was perfect or not. For me, I personally downloaded an app called Bubble, and it's a surface level app. I've put it against the new one and the old one together, and I've measured it so that the length will be exactly the same. That could be one way of making sure your alignment's straight or not, or you can actually go to the shop and pay for the alignment, which is $80. And I got very lucky for me doing the surface level, because I actually drove it out today and I didn't feel any vibrations and it was perfect. I was very happy. Another thing would be, I'm not sure if you guys noticed my boot, my older boot that I have. The bigger side, the bigger circle side had the right clip, but the smaller circle, it was ripped out and I didn't realize, and I couldn't put the clip on. So I think one of the big reasons why my ball joint was very loose is because the smaller side was not sealing the, and it wasn't protecting the ball joint. I'm sure rain got in it, water got in it, salt got in it because of snow. It ruined the lifespan of this ball joint. So that's one thing I need to check for myself. And yes, that's it for the tie rod, and this was my first video. I hope you guys liked it, and I will be having a lot more projects coming up when it gets warmer. And one of the biggest thing would be the subframe reinforcement. I will be welding everything myself. I will be teaching myself how to weld. I will be doing the Vanos seal. I think that's a very infamous one for this type of car, and I guess I could do the small things like oil change, changing out the brakes, water pump. So look forward to my new videos in the future, and I hope you guys like this current one. I hope you guys like it, comment it, subscribe, and if you have any questions, ask me anytime. Thank you.